And
So good morning, Mr. Jobarteh.
Good morning, Uncle Peter, and good morning, my Honorable Minister, and to all your viewers and listeners.
Thank you, thank you. What do you want to clarify?
Actually, I'm on an online meeting about this, our concession monitoring, which we do every Tuesday.
Yes.
So I was not accessible to be ready to follow the program, but one of my colleagues alerted me that Honorable Minister is making mention of my issues. But if I may crave your indulgence, unless there's a specific issue, I may want to maybe come over and give a more elaborate statement on what are the issues.
Oh, listen, okay. There was an accident at the port, and a dock worker lost 2 fingers. If it wasn't for the intervention of colleague, dockers, he might have just lost the fingers completely. Apparently, they helped him get the fingers reattached. And then there was an issue about 17 million and a lot of risks, facing dockers who have to climb what? He calls it what? 5-6 container highs, whatever language that means. So apparently, putting their lives in danger.
Well, yeah, on the first issue, it's unfortunate that the accident happened because these are some of the risks that goes with the job. But there's an injuries compensation act under the Social Security. And then as GPA and Airport, we have the necessary insurance that covers injury and the percentage defect or liability that is paid based on the impairment. It is only governed by law. So it's just a matter of procedure. But the dock labor company also is a private company now. And technically, they should carry out the insurance to take care of these workers. But these are all work in progress because we are under a transition now. There's a new concession operator. The port is no longer doing the operations. And there's a new private company called the Dock Labor Company. But in the SLA that is signed between the parties, that is the port concessionaire and the provider of distributory service, which is the Dock Labor Company, in which GPA is a 50% shareholder together with the union, there are provisions to carry out insurance, which is being worked on. So, but the workers will be adequately covered because we know the risky nature of the job. On the side of the 5 high that they are climbing, yeah, it's true that's the nature of the job, but the 17 million that has been claimed was areas that they were claiming that when the new SLA was brought in, there were differences in the wage calculation. But we managed to successfully engage Alport, and those monies have already been fully paid. The issue now is about the new rates that are applied per move, which is providing an incentive for higher productivity, but the net wages for the dock workers has reduced. That's their claim. But we have been constantly engaged day in, day out, to the extent that yesterday was the last of such meetings that we had, which was very successful. And there's a proposal that we are engaging Alport to accept. Once it is accepted, it will reverse the wages to their previous levels and provide new incentives for them to achieve higher productivity. Others are related to tariff issues, which are a little bit technical. We will need time to resolve those ones. But they have the understanding. By and large, they will be protected, and the concession is not here to disfavor any dock worker or any Gambian or GPA staff for that matter.
Well, if they have the understanding, why are they texting into the program and raising very critical issues?
Well, some of these things cannot go everywhere. Maybe it's the communication level, because when we are not dealing with the whole 554 dock workers that are in the union. Apparently, we meet with the union executives, the Alport, and even yesterday's meeting was attended by the vice chairman of the GPA board. From there, we were engaged with the minister. I mean, up to Saturday, to be more truthful, some of these are details that are not necessary. But what we know is we're acting with clear conscience and responsibility. Saturday was the last meeting we had with the honorable minister. And to be fair to him, these are operational matters. But if you see his involvement, it just shows that he is engaged and he is concerned and he wants to see these matters resolved. But technically, as a minister, he's not even required. He is there to just advise on policy matters. But if you see he's involved in operations, coming down to the ground, seeing what happens in the ferries, the shipyard, I mean, I revere him for the kind of commitment and engagement he has. But by and large, we're here to protect all of our workers, dock workers, casual laborers, GPS staff, and government stakeholders who have business in the port. Generally, the concession objective is to usher positive changes, and on the side of the operations and the investment, we're seeing some visible signs, but transition arrangements are usually difficult, but we'll manage it to the extent that the workers will not be put in a less than desirable situation as before the concession.
Also, what's happening to our half-day masjid? I mean, the minister is just saying that access will be, created, for Banjul or Hafdai Muslims to have access to their masjid. But there's going to be a second masjid built outside of the area given to the concessionaire. I mean, is that a way of eventually pushing everybody to this new one so that you can do whatever you want with the area on which the masjid currently sits?
Apparently, that is not the issue. The issue at hand is, to put it in its proper context, is that when government cabinet gave the decision to expropriate that part of Hafdai to be part of the port concession, the condition was that the Hafdai must remain. So we are respecting that cabinet decision. That's where the decision came from. Now, the clamor has been that once the new terminal is constructed, the mosque would be kind of boxed into the terminal. And to spatially utilize the area in an optimal way, the layout of the equipment, the layout of the terminal, depending on the equipment that the concessionaire intends to use, would not be amenable to having the mosque in the middle of the zone. So now the Banjul Muslim Committee has engaged through the Imam Ratib, and government decision was to maintain the mosque. So now Alport has been instructed also officially to create public access. So now we are trying to find the alignment that would create a thoroughfare that would allow public access. We're looking at the fence that borders the scanning machine and Hagan Street, those of us who are familiar with the Hafdai area, or either Lehman. But the concessionaire is opting for the closest route, that is along the former Wilberforce Street, to create that link through Zebra and then go into the mosque. But the decision has been made that public access will be created. That is one. The second masjid is the one that is currently at the Muslim high school. That one is being upgraded by the Alport so that it can be more convenient for use by the public. So apparently the mosque in Hafdai will maintain and public access will be created, whilst the mosque in Muslim high school, which is a second mosque, both mosques are currently operating because they have different congregations that utilize the mosque for Juma prayers mostly. But both mosques will be maintained. It's not that we are treating one in isolation or providing an option so that the Hafdai mosque can be barred from public access. That is not the case. It is a government decision since 1993 for the expropriation of the Hafdai property and for operational convenience and the engagement with the community. It's something that a decision has been made to allow the mosque to stay and to grant the public access.
And just one final one, very quickly. Hafdai, properties were bought from original owners of Hafdai with the belief that everything was going to form part of the de facto port. But now we're hearing that, the concessionaire wants to use part of the land acquired for real estate, and original owners are being given first refusal options. And the worry is they might not have the money to buy back their property. So what happened to the original idea of using the whole of Hafdai for port purposes only?
Okay, sorry, I have heard about some of those statements, but I think they are being taken out of context, maybe for lack of right information. What happens is the concession property, the landed area, still belongs to government. It is not ceded into the operation. The concessionaire is just granted right for use. So what we are envisaging is that once the operation moves to Sion, after the first phase is completed, the whole area, which is about 23 hectares that is currently citing the port activity, would not be in need, as it were. We would not have need for the whole of the 23 hectares. So we have it in our plans, once we move to Sion, to convert about 75% of that area back into real property for cruise terminal development. And the idea is that maybe original owners will be given the right of first refusal to buy back those properties so that they can maintain the family heritage. It's just a suggestion, but nothing is cast in stone. But the comfort the public needs to understand is that that land belongs to GPA and the government, and the concessionaire has no mandate to convert it into property development without the express consent of the GPA. This is a government decision, so that Banjul will be now reconverted into a livable city. So that's our plan, to make the city livable once more, once the activity transfers to Sani. But this is under a government control. So that project for the real estate development is a government project, not the concessionaire's project. They have an opportunity to also invest in it because of the financial resources that may be at their disposal, but not that they are the ones turning the area into property development.
Ousman, thank you very much for completely taking a program into a different direction. But yeah, your contribution has been crucial. Thank you very much.
The pleasure is mine, Uncle.